Hi, this is Anna Imagination. So I'm working with one of my clients. We're going to call this person badass. This is for her. However, the rest of you can use this. Here's the assignment. We need to establish your priority and fast. So in the dead center, we're going to have your priorities. Okay. Your priorities are literally going to be your primary focal point. It needs to be you. 100% you, no matter what. This is your personal agenda. Make it a good one. Okay? Personal agenda. So we're going to do like a bullet. You're going to have a target. Okay? The target is going to be your solid, stable priority. In that middle, write down you and your agenda. Your agenda is going to be basically anything you want, but really this needs to be the overall goal. Why are you in therapy? Why are you doing this? What do you want to change? In most cases, people are caught in between they need to basically change their life and they're struggling choosing between the desires and wants of a system or a parent versus what they want. So it's literally you versus other people, other things. So when you are wanting change, what you're really doing is shifting your priority from people over to yourself. That's really important. Now, it can be anything you want, from what we've talked about to you're wanting a better job, you're wanting a happier life, whatever it be. That's your agenda. But really, the priority is you, which is all a therapist does. The therapist comes in and we sit down and say, okay, we're your cheerleader. What do you want to do? You're the captain. You're the captain. That's what this whole thing is about. This is Operation Making You the Captain of Your Life. So we're going to call it that. Operation. Put that at the top of your page. Oh, you should probably have a pen and some paper. Pause the video. Go get your pen and paper. Okay. At the top of the page, write Operation Captain Your Ship. Basically, it's reverse mutiny. Okay. So in the center is you. You are going to be the solid, stable center point. Okay. This is going to be the thing you look at when you feel yourself shifting. Okay. This is all about you reclaiming your perspective and keeping it center. Now, you have things that we use called, is it good? Is it bad? That's part of the problem. We're going to fix that. So we're going to start by you being the priority, being the center. The point and the purpose is you being in control of your life, you making choices. So it could be anything you want. Make sure you just put in there, this is your priority. And then you have basically the person, there's going to be the next line out is going to be your perspective. And this is how you view the world. This is what is, this is how you define the world. Now, in that center priority circle is what you love. Okay? The perspective is your ethics. Okay? And then the next target out, so it's you, what you love. The next one out is your perspective. The next one out is going to be your beliefs. Okay? Now, the phrase good and bad is the constant ongoing problem. Now, before we get into good and bad, we're going to talk about two other points. The first point is the choices you're going to have to make. And this is the hard part. This is the same choice that everyone has to make. There is your happiness. Well, let's change it to what you want versus what you don't want. Now, that's a guarantee. There's what you want, and then there's what you don't want. Now, there's going to be consequences outside of each one of these. So there's what you want, and people are going to be pissed off at you. And make sure you use the word and here. What you want, and people will be mad. And your second choice is what you don't want, and people will be mad. And this is for the second one. There's a second and. You will hear about it. They will abuse you. So you can't control how people feel. In both situations, an abusive, unhappy person is going to be an abusive, unhappy person no matter what you choose. This is a toxic belief. This is actually the core of a toxic belief. The core of the toxic belief is that people think if I do what they want, they'll be happy. That is a toxic belief. No, they're not going to be happy. If they have to abuse you to be happy, they're never happy. That is not an option. You being nice, compliant, submissive, subservient, obedient is not going to give them happiness. It's not. This is the crux right here of the problem. You think that in making them happy, in doing what they want, they will be happy. Not the case. What they want does not equate their happiness. That's it right there. What they want of you does not equate their happiness. These are people who are not happy because they are not doing their own self-work. They are projecting their unhappiness onto you. So, and then they have you convinced that if you do what they want, then they will be happy. Not the case. This is the flaw in your reasoning. This is the flaw in the problem. This is the crux right here. So you have two choices. You can do what you want, or you can do what they want. You're going to have to choose between them or you. What you want, what they want. What's your priority? Look at that center. Your priority is what you love, and you are the priority. Now, going back to your two choices. What you want, and they will be mad. So you can do what you want to do in life. You can go where you want to go. You can be whoever you want to be. You can embrace your authenticity, and they're going to be mad about it. Or you can do what they want, and they're going to be mad about it. And they're going to blame you, tell you about it, shame you, abuse you while they're not happy about it, while you're not doing what you want. So your choices are not, are they going to be mad? That's not even an option. They're going to be mad no matter what. The question is, do you have to be around it, or can you get away from it? If you do what you want, you naturally get away from it. If you do what they want, then they get to abuse you. Because what they want is to project. That is what they want. Because they feel control when they project. They feel control when they abuse. They're not happy either way. Their happiness is off the table. They're going to project no matter what. So now the real choice is what you want or what they want. And you have to also take into consideration, well, you can close the door on that noise and say, I'm not listening to that. Or you can keep subjecting yourself to it. Because what they really want is to have you accessible so they can abuse you. Now, go back to your priority. What do you want? When you are looking at your two options, and this is really it, when you are bombarded with the emotion, when you are bombarded with all of the elements in your life where you have to come right down to the wire and it is hard and you have to stand up for yourself and use your boundaries, this is it right here. What you are really doing is making the stand and deciding on one of these two choices. Now, here's how this works with abusers. They have three primary tactics that they use. They do the whole, I'm going to ignore the problem and say nothing, or they're going to play the victim. Oh, you did this to me. That's internalizing. Or they're going to lash out. That's projecting. Really, really basic three. Internalize, project, or pretend it doesn't exist and ignore it. Those are the three options. Everyone does this who is not healthy. Everyone does this who is not healthy. When you are mentally stable, you stop doing this. Now, some people don't project at all. They just internalize. These are our three options. Either you project, you internalize, or you ignore it. That's it. Everyone does this if you're not stable. Stable people problem solve. So there's a fourth option. You can problem solve this. And this is the problem. Problem solving is actually, dun, 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 logical, deductive, and reasoning. We see this with mathematical word problems in high school. This is why we do word problems in high school, because word problems in high school teach us logical deduction and problem solving, which teaches us how to stop internalizing and projecting or being neutral and ignoring the problem. The fourth option is problem solving. So here's how this works. You have a choice to make. You have 4 options. Now, if you are not a projector, then you don't have to worry about putting up a boundary to not project. If you are an internalizer, you have to put up a boundary so you don't internalize. If you are somebody who's neutral, now you're avoiding, and that's where the world of addiction begins. You really need to move to problem solving. A lot of people out there call this the growth stage or the growth mindset. It's problem solving. Problem solving. Problem solving is, what is the most logical path here? What is the best way through to my solution? What do I need to do? Now, this graph, this model, this assignment that I'm giving you is the problem solving, because what we are losing is clarity and perspective, because we have been submitted to so much abuse that our own perspective is clouded and our judgment is lost. Our judgment is clouded. That is the problem, which is why we often ask the question, what's good and what's bad? Because our judgment is clouded. Our judgment is clouded because we have a tainted perspective. Because we have a tainted perspective, we lack a pure perspective. Our pure perspective is what the goal of healing is to purify your perspective. Once you have a purified perspective and you have defined what you love and what your ethics are and what you believe, you know what's good and bad. Because good and bad is determined by your perspective, by what you define as what is good, what is bad, what is love, what are my ethics, and what are my beliefs. Those are the foundation of good and bad. But if you have somebody who's abusing you and their opinion of what is good and bad, if you have a narcissist coming in and they are putting in what they feel is good and bad, and they're putting it inside of your perspective, now you have clouded judgment. Now you have a clouded perspective because you can't see the situation because your own perspective is tainted. Now you have 2 perspectives. Your perspective, which defines good and bad, and the narcissist's definition of good and bad. Now here's the problem. The narcissist defines good and bad as this. Good is giving the narcissist what they want. Good is obeying the narcissist. Bad is disobedience. I'm going to say this one more time, and it's not going to be the last time. You know who else is really obedient? Slaves. Slaves are really obedient. In fact, a good slave is an obedient slave. A bad slave is a disobedient slave. So, according to the narcissist, you are bad if you do not cooperate. You are good if you cooperate with their abuse. I'm going to say it again. The word abuse means abnormal use of. So, according to the abuser's perspective, you are good or bad depending upon how well you cooperate with their abuse. Now, let's shift the definition of good and bad back to the circle. By zooming into this circle and redefining judgment of good and bad, what is good and what is bad changes. Now, good equals what I want and what is healthy for me. Bad is what is unhealthy for me. Those are the new definitions of good and bad. Healthy and unhealthy. I am not going to get into it in this video on the background of ethics, morals, good, bad, and religion. That's a whole philosophical closet. One of my favorites. We're not going to get into it here. Good and bad is very much an opinion. It is an opinion that is founded on defined ethic. Period. An opinion. Good and bad originates solidly from defined ethic. Defined ethic comes from the defined self. And ethic is what you value. What you value is 100% determined by what you love. What you love is who you are. It is authenticity in its purest form. It is the defined self. It is identity. So you have identity that gets to decide what you love. This is why we need to define who we are. Because the more you define yourself, the more you know what you value. The more you know what you value, now you know what you believe. It is 100% foundations on love. My God, this is beautiful. So it goes what you love, pure, simple love. And then from there, what you value. What are your ethics? And then out from there, what are your beliefs? Now, this is all love-based. This is pure love-based. So when I say things like purify your perspective, you are actually talking about pure love, pure self-love. You need this at the foundation in order to do anything. Now you can decide what is good and what is bad. Well, is this going to get you what you want so you can be healthy? Or is this going to make you unhealthy? Now we have a different definition of good and bad. Good and bad is based off of what you love, your perspective. 100%. Good and bad is an opinion based off of your perspective. But if you have an invasive perspective, if you have a narcissist that has tainted your perspective, you're not going to know what's good and bad. Which is why when you make the shift, you don't know what decision to make. You're confused. You say things like, I don't know, because you have not defined your identity in the center, because you have not defined what you value or what you believe, because you don't know who you are. Now, there's two reasons why you don't know who you are. One, significant conformist abuse. Somebody came along and said, these are the expectations you have to conform, or you never had the freedom to explore what you love. So you never got out there to adventure, to define what you love. Those are your two options. Either you never defined what you love because you didn't adventure, and or someone told you what you are going to love, and they took that away from you. So in order to get back to what is good and bad, what is healthy for you, what is not healthy, what your priorities are, all of this, it comes down over and over again to you need to know who you are, what you value, what you believe, and then that becomes your priority. You become your priority. This is therapy. This is healing right here. You become your priority. If you are a people pleaser, you are not the priority. Everybody else is. That's a people pleaser. If you have a problem with people pleasing, this is why. It's because everybody else has supplanted the priority. You need to be the priority. That is how you get over people pleasing. That's it right there. Once you do this, then you start setting boundaries. Well, this is the gorgeous part. The boundaries are just the shield that manages and operates your internalization, projection, or neutrality. When you have a boundary in place correctly, that actually allows for problem solving. so that you can stop internalizing or projecting and you can start problem solving. Now, I just discussed this morning that there are levels of intimacy within this circle, and people mistake the vulnerability and the levels of intimacy for boundaries. They think that boundaries diminish as you gain trust or intimacy. This is not true, and this is really important. The closer you get to someone, your boundaries still need to stay in place, because your boundaries are not about your relationship to other people. Your boundaries are about your relationship to complications. Your boundaries are not about other people. Your boundaries are 100% about your self-management relationship with yourself. Absolutely. Boundaries are all about your relationship with conflict, not with people, with conflict. One more time. Boundaries are not about your relationship with people. They are about your relationship with conflict. So if you don't have boundaries, you are 100% open to conflict. If you don't have boundaries, you are 100% open to another perspective via advice or audience, dumping perspective into your perspective, and now you've lost sight of what's prioritized. Now you're confused again. Boundaries prevent conflict. They help you manage conflict so you can preserve and protect your perspective, which is you, your ethics, your beliefs, so that you are no longer confused. So you remember your priorities. So you can now defend off people who want to use you or abuse you. When you are in healing and you are trying to separate yourself from a codependent situation, a parasitic situation, a narcissist situation, this is how it's done. This is your homework assignment. Once you have the graph defined, you're good to go. I will talk to you later. And to everybody else, thank you so much. And may the kindest of words always find you.